Will Carleton, How Betsey and I Made Up. Give us your hand, Mr. Lawyer, how do you do today? You drew up that paper, I suppose you want your pay. Don't cut down your figures, make it an X or a V, for that written agreement was just the making of me. Going home that evening, I tell you I was blue, thinking of all my troubles and what I was going to do. And if my horses hadn't been the steadiest team alive, they'd have tipped me over certain, for I couldn't see where to drive. No, for I was labouring under a heavy load. No, for I was travelling an entirely different road. For I was a-tracing over the path of our lives again, and seeing where we missed the way, and where we might have been. And many a corner we'd turned that just to quarrel led, when I ought to have held my temper and driven straight ahead. And the more I thought it over, the more those memories came, and the more I struck the opinion that I was the most to blame. And things I'd long forgotten kept rising in my mind, of little matters betwixt us where Betsey was good and kind. And these things flashed all through me, as you know things sometimes will, when a fellow's alone in the darkness, and everything is still. But, says I, we're too far along to take another track, and when I put my hand to the plough, I do not oft turn back. And 'tain't an uncommon thing now for couples to smash in two, and so I set my teeth together, and vowed I'd see it through. When I come in sight of the house 'twas somewhat in the night, and just as I turned a hilltop I see the kitchen light, which often a handsome picture to a hungry person makes, but it don't interest a fellow much that's going to pull up stakes. And when I went in the house, the table was set for me, as good a supper as I ever saw or ever want to see, and I crammed the agreement down my pocket as well as I could, and fell to eating my victuals, which somehow didn't taste good. And Betsey, she pretended to look about the house, but she watched my side-coat pocket like a cat would watch a mouse. And then she went to fooling a little with her cup, and intently reading a newspaper, a-holding it wrong side up. And when I'd done my supper, I drawed the agreement out, and gave it to her without a word, for she knowed what 'twas about. And then I hummed a little tune, but now and then a note was busted by some animal that hopped up in my throat. Then Betsey, she got her specs from off the mantel shelf, and read the article over quite softly to herself. Read it by little and little, for her eyes is getting old, and lawyers' writing ain't no print, especially when it's cold. And after she'd read a little, she gave my arm a touch, and kindly said she was afraid I was lowing her too much. But when she was through, she went for me, her face streaming with tears, and kissed me for the first time in over 20 years. I don't know what you'll think, sir, I didn't come to inquire, but I picked up that agreement and stuffed it in the fire, and I told her we'd bury the hatchet alongside of the cow, and we struck an agreement never to have another row. And I told her in the future I wouldn't speak cross or rash if half the crockery in the house was broken all to smash. And she said, in regards to heaven, we'd try and learn its worth by starting a branch establishment and running it here on earth. And so we sat a-talking 3/4 of the night, and opened our hearts to each other until they both grew light. And the days when I was winning her away from so many men was nothing to that evening I courted her over again. Next morning an ancient virgin took pains to call on us, her lamp all trimmed and a-burning to kindle another fuss. But when she went to prying and opening of old sores, my Betsey rose politely and showed her out of doors. Since then I don't deny but there's been a word or two, but we've got our eyes wide open and know just what to do. When one speaks cross, the other just meets it with a laugh, and the first one's ready to give up considerable more than half. Maybe you'll think me soft, sir, a talking in this style, but somehow it does me lots of good to tell it once in a while. And I do it for a compliment, 'tis so that you can see that there written agreement of yours was just the making of me. So make out your bill, Mr. Lawyer. Don't stop short of an X. Make it more if you want to, for I have got the checks. I'm richer than a national bank with all its treasures told, for I've got a wife at home now who's worth her weight in gold.